right, everybody, my name is Paul the Fifth, and I'm sitting here with my guy Johnny Day, and I'm so glad that we got to connect.
Yes.
We've had to reschedule a couple times. We had a F3 tornado that came through, so
Yeah.
I know you were in Colorado. I'm glad the family and homestead are safe and everything.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to talk shop, music, love, life. Before we get started, can you tell me who Johnny Day is as a musician?
Yeah, Johnny Day is an entertainer at heart. I'm an entertainer, and I love to make songs that move people, that emotionally. I love that it's not just, just a song that you turn on and put in the background. Like, I like to make stuff that'll move you. So that's me. Yeah.
That is
and I
true.
can play guitar. So
That is a true statement. I've seen the man live. That's actually how we connected. I do audio and production at our church, The Hills, and Johnny was performing. And I was like, oh, we got a new guy today. And then he gets up and starts playing. I'm like, who is this? This guy is amazing. I heard that he had an album that dropped like last month, and I listened to it last week, and I was like, wow, this dude is even more amazing than I realized. So here we are talking about it. So tell me about it. How did that all come from, start to finish, and the Blackbird process, and working with Tyler Miller and all that?
Okay, well, this is it. So we're gonna get in depth here a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah. So basically, how it all started was Tyler. I was playing lead guitar. So we'll start with Tyler because he's kind of the beginning of this whole situation.
Gotcha.
Tyler Miller. I was playing guitar for a country cover band, playing lead guitar, and we opened up for Frankie Ballard.
Frankie.
In Yuma, Colorado. So little farm town. He was helping set up the stage. He was one of the volunteers from the town, and I was up there. I had this awesome Z-Reg amp and my telly. I had my telly that I have now, but it was a little less cool back then. I hadn't spruced it up and whatnot. And he's like, dude, that's a Z-Reg. And I was like, yeah, man, you want to play it? And so I'm like, yeah, get up on stage and play this thing. I didn't really care. So he came on, and then we just connected backstage, and then I got his number. Literally all it was, I never met the guy before. I got his number, and then just something in my heart, like a couple months later, was like, man, call that guy and start a country band, and start doing this country. Because at the time I was in a folk band. It was a duo called Pandas and People, and we had some success. And I was like, man, but my heart's in country. Like, I want to play chicken picking guitar. I love this genre. Yeah, so I got connected with him from there. He was actually going to med school at the time. He was about to be going to med school, but then he dropped out. He didn't go to med school because he just had this feeling to do this. And so we started this whole journey of, playing a bunch of shows around Colorado, and then that led us to coming out to Nashville. And he moved out here a little before I did. He moved out a couple years ago. And then I was just traveling back and forth from Colorado doing what I'm doing now still, but I was living in Colorado instead of living here. Late summer, we got the opportunity to go in and cut 10 tracks in Blackbird.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We cut 10 tracks
How long did
at
that
master
take?
scale. Dude, the process was gruesome, honestly, because we only had till Halloween to get it done.
Okay, so from September to Halloween
Yeah.
for 10 tracks, that's...
And
I
I
did
did
some work cut out.
Yeah, so I did all the pre-production myself in the oil field, and I was literally, I ended up in the hospital because I had heat exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked into the hospital, I couldn't sleep one night. I wake up, I'm like, I think I'm gonna die. I walk into the hospital, they're like, dude, you got 103.2 degree fever. I'm like,
Good
what?
Lord.
Yeah, I was like, they're like, you're about to die. But I was working on the pre-pro for Too Good for Givers, and that song, it had a big effect on me because forgiveness in my life has been one of the things that has opened so many doors as far as, having my baby, having my wife, having Tyler, having all these opportunities in front of me. Forgiveness is if you trace it all back, if I wouldn't have had the strength from Jesus to be able to forgive, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. So that song, I was listening to a Billy Graham sermon. I was at work and I had my headphones in. I was listening to one of the sermons. It was right after he died. This man, he was telling the story how he was preaching a sermon. He's doing that whole big thing where he was going around to all the, stadiums and preaching the word.
Mm-hmm.
And during that, a man came up to his wife and he asked her, what does it take to make a marriage work? what does it take to last as long as you guys have? She replied, it takes two good forgivers. And I was like,
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, that's a song. That's a song right there. And that's so true. And then I started to apply that to my life. I'm like, if I really want my marriage to work, I need to forgive upon arrival. I need to forgive, like, before it even happens, you know. And as I tried, the more I worked on forgiving and just not, and putting my selfishness aside, I realized that it's one of the hardest things to do, you know. And so it takes strength, and that's what, like, it was for me. It was like, man, I need a strength beyond myself to do this. I was like, man, I gotta spread the news about this. I gotta tell people about it. So I brought the idea to Hallie Kearns and Ali Keck. They're a couple of artists in town, and we had to write, and we wrote that first section. It takes more than two wedding bands, you know, that whole thing. We wrote that, and then I took that little section, and then I heard that, and then I heard everything else after it. Because we were kind of thinking that was the chorus during the write, and it ended up being the intro and like a bridge section in the actual song. So just to kind of elaborate a little more, I was flying into Colorado. I was coming down, we were landing, and I was like sitting there just looking at the mountains and everything, and I just heard it in my head. I started hearing that the whole song, and so I started pre-production on it. And when we went to track it at Blackbird, it was probably one of the most amazing experiences of my life, because it was the last song we tracked.
Mm-hmm.
So the last and we had, dude, our band was insane. That we had Brent Mason.
Oh, Brent.
Yeah, we had Brent Mason. We had
Incredible.
oh, incredible. And he's one of my heroes growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So to be in the room with him and like ask him, hey Brent, can you do this right here? It was like a kid in a candy store, you know, because I produced the whole thing at Blackbird. So me and my engineer Ernesto Oliveira, we co-produced it together. And, so we had him, we had Dave Cohen, we had, oh my goodness, dude, it was just Dan Dugmore. Oh my, and he, dude, Pat McGrath. We had an A-team, man. It was amazing. Mark Hill. I had this whole crazy pre-production, pre-pro track programmed up, because there's, you know, you hear the time changes in it. We go in 6/8. It's really 6/8 the whole intro, and then it actually accelerandos into 4/4. So it doesn't just change into 4/4. The tempo changes and the time signature, which is something I always loved, because I grew up. I was a nerd, man. I was in band, and I loved orchestra. You know, I loved orchestra, and I loved how a band playing together, when they were truly playing together, they could move together and pull the time and the dynamics, and then they'd be switching time change. Oh man, it just, so I love that. I love that growing up, and that's how you create emotion.
It is. I played in honors band and honors orchestra all throughout middle school and high school.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this. I had to play auxiliary percussion.
Yeah.
I had to play a tambourine and a triangle and timpani on the song called "To Tame the Perilous Skies," and it was exactly what you described. Just all these tempo changes, but yeah, it was fantastic.
And it's hard.
It is.
The thing about it is, like, to be able to execute that is like the toughest thing. But when you do, oh my gosh. If you can't do it good, it sounds awful. But if you could do it, and you got a band like what we had that was like just phenomenal, you know, it turns into an emotional ride. And that's what I'm all about.
And that's interesting, because it's hard on both sides, on the production, you know, getting good click and all that stuff, line,
yeah,
and then
program,
getting the artists to do it, and it turned out incredible. Yeah, so I'm really excited. If you guys haven't heard it, where can we listen to it at?
So Two Good Forgivers, it is Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music. Basically, you could just type it in your phone, or you can go to my Instagram, and there's a little splash page that'll pull up. It'll take you wherever your music listening platform is. So.
We kind of briefly talked about Tyler. Is that how you got connected to the Hills? Is through him?
I brought Tyler to the Hills.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I brought Tyler to the Hills.
So much in
this.